to get statistical studies done. And then you have to concern yourself with bias because they're getting their studies funded by a company looking for a certain result. So one of the most beautiful things I think that's happened in the past, oh goodness, 10 years, maybe not even 10 years, is the idea that we can now replicate studies using technology. Let me show you what I'm talking about here, okay? So, this is a step 11. I want to develop a quiz or two about this too, because I want you to see this idea. It's the idea of Monte Carlo simulation. If you had me in 243, I made you suffer through these. And if you did the black cards quiz from a couple weeks ago, you suffered through one of those too. Hopefully you found that interesting, at least partially enjoyable. I've got more of these planned. What I've done here is, I've done the study once, I've gotten my results. I want to see if my results were most likely fluky, or if they actually apparently hold over time, over replication. So what I did was, I set up an Excel spreadsheet to simulate a population that gets sick 12% of the time. Okay? So what does that mean? 12% of the time people get sick. Well, one way of looking at it is, if I grab 1,000 people, there's a rate of sickness that's 12%, which means they're going to behave under that 12% assumption. So what I did was, see these people up here? Person 1, person 2, person 3. I decided to assign random numbers to them. I said, let's pick a random number between 1 and 100. If it comes in at 12 or less, they get the flu that year. It's a roll of the die, which people can argue is not the way flu works. But in some ways it is. In some ways it is a roll of a die, if you get sick or not, right? You pick up a germ, it happens to hit your body. So I've decided to simulate it with a random number. If you roll a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12, you get the flu. If you roll a 13, 14, 15, up to 100, you don't get the flu. What the little no flus there and flus indicate is that person on that trial getting sick or not. Realize what we have to define what the flu is. I'm assuming that's already been taken. We know what the flu is, we know what not the flu is. I've been achy for two days, although I'm pretty sure it's because Max isn't sleeping at all. Daddy, Daddy, Daddy! What's up, buddy, what's up? It's dark in here! It's 2 in the morning. It should be dark in here. I can't see anything! Hence the darkness. Such an intelligent little dude, but I'm like, dude, it's 2 in the morning. Can you go out to sleep? Snuggle with me! Okay. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure I have the flu, I'm pretty sure I'm just not sleeping. So anyway, what I've done is, and if you look at this spreadsheet, if you scroll out, you'll see 1,000 people. Here they are. Some have the flu, some don't. Some have the flu, some don't. What this over here keeps track of is how many right now in that group of 1,000 have the flu. Right now, currently, it's 120 out of 1,000. If I press F9, it's going to roll the dice again and give me a sample of 1,000 more. What I just did, Brandon, was I saved myself some money by computer simulating. This is how flight simulators work. Give you one way to train a pilot. Build a plane, put a pilot in it, put them up in the air and see what happens. Let's not do that. That's expensive, it's deadly, right? Let's put them in a computer simulating the experience. I'm simulating the experience of getting 1,000 people and checking them for flu. Right now, 139 got the flu. Let's sample 1,000 more. 105. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this bad boy down. Where's my stapler? I need something to weight this with. Here we go, cell phone. Now what is being kept track of, there we go. What we're keeping track of here are the number of cases where 101 or fewer folks got the flu. Why am I using 101 or fewer?
That's what the test results were.
That's what my first study got, was 101. I'm trying to measure the flukiness of 101 out of 1,000, right? Was it a fluke? And if it wasn't a fluke, can I replicate it? Now what you're getting down here is, I've now 1,100, 1,200, 1,000 person trials. You can see the power of this, right? I'm replicating the study over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. Look at the percentage of the time. This is my p-value now. This is the same p-value that isn't the same p-value, it's the same idea of p-value we were doing before. Assuming the vaccine is ineffective, what's the chance we get our data? 3.18, 3.19, 3.12, 3.0. How does that number compare to what we got over here? It's very, very, very close. It's fluctuating. It's moving around. It's hovering around like about 3.1% right now. This is a way of avoiding the issue you talk about. And this, in my opinion, come visit me in 10 years. I'm pushing very hard for a nationwide move to this kind of statistics versus this archaic crap of using normal and bell curve tables. This is the way all statistics should be done. This is the way actuaries do statistics. They have a theory, they test it using parameter values that are known or assumed in the population, and they run. This is how Nate Silver predicts elections. You're watching Nate Silver and what he does right now. I was so stoked to find out that an Uber geek now has a blog that's followed by millions of people. Thank God, the geeks are winning. Exactly, woohoo, it's right! So I'm going to design some quizzes for you guys based on this idea of Monte Carlo simulation. But the idea, we now have our application. Look, the p-value isn't growing to 50%, 60%, 70%. It looks like our vaccine is working. Because the chance of randomly getting this few people sick is small. If they're not, let me make sure I say this right. If they're not getting sick randomly, then why are they most likely not getting sick? Oh, did I say that right? If they're not getting sick randomly, then they're most likely not getting sick because of the one thing that was different, which was the vaccine I stuck into their body. If everything else was controlled, there's a lot of ifs here, right? If everything was controlled for, if we trust that 12%, if we've well-defined the flu. But all of those things I just said are based on experimental design models. They're not based on statistics. Assuming we've controlled for all of that, there's a less than 3.5%. It's creeping around now. Look where it's going. It's moving up, it's moving down. It's fun to track that on a horizontal axis, horizontal and vertical, watching it go like this and then hover. Totally cool. Law of large numbers, totally freaking random. But what you're seeing is agreement between your p-value and over here's p-value, which means it's harder and harder to assume the vaccine's not doing anything. It's more and more likely the vaccine is doing something. And you can see up here, watch those numbers. Quite a bit of the time they're over 101, right? Quite a few. Most of the time they're over 101 because if people are getting sick at 12%, you shouldn't be getting 101 or fewer sicker. You should be getting more than 101. You should be getting on average 120 plus or minus, not 101 or lower. Connor, ask me that question. What? That was sorry. I was expecting a different question besides what? It was just like the way your face was looking, you're like, I don't buy a thing he's saying right now. I want to make sure I was reading your face right.
I'm good.
Oh, you're good. Okay, I know you're good. Make sure your questions are answered. Brandon, there's a long-winded answer to your question, and it's a technological-based one, but at the same time, I think it's extremely valuable to talk about that in the technological base. Now, Excel is not the best way of doing this. It's the best way for us to do it because we all have access to it. There are much, much better models. I don't think Nate Silver uses Excel. I think he uses other... He could use Excel. I could be wrong. But, I mean, look, what if we just... We've basically sampled the entire population of America twice over. 7,000 times 1,000 is what, 7 million? So now we've basically sampled what's replaced in 7 million people. Wonderful. Cool? Ish? It's a little bit heady right now. I do want to build some of these for you guys to play with on your own, if you want to. I like the idea of having you guys play with Monte Carlo models. Just good? Yeah, maybe. Maybe getting there? All right. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you guys for the questions. All right. We'll turn this off for a second. We're going to need this eventually. We'll come back to that. Let's start the next one. Look at the time. Let's start the next one. I might kick you guys out early and have you guys try to finish it on your own before.